Hello, and welcome to today's podcast of the Vertical Stride, the podcast where we talk about the new runner all the way up to the professional athlete and the foundations that work for everyone in between. I'm your host, Jack Wren. I'm Anila Tynan co-hosting today with Jack Wren, the man behind the screen, and our good friend, Lauren Prince. Thanks, Lauren, for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. It's good to be on.
So, the goal of this podcast is to tell you guys more about who it is who's been talking to you, his background, his running journey, and answer maybe questions you've been thinking as you listen to these podcasts and go, who is this guy?
That's fair. And, I want to thank the two of you, one, for taking the time to do this, but two, it's really been the two of you that have been suggesting this episode. You all have been listening and, talking to me about the episode ideas, and you're like, all this stuff is great, but like, why should people listen to you? And so I was a little hesitant, but you all kind of kidnapped the mic for today. So I'm excited.
Before we get into you, let's get a little bit into Lauren. Lauren, what is your running background and what have you been up to recently? And I guess what makes you qualified to help interview Jack today with me?
Oh, my running background is that I started cross country freshman year of high school, mostly just because I wanted to try it out. And I was still doing competitive gymnastics at that time, so I did gymnastics all the way up to my sophomore year of high school. So I did a lot of gym growing up. But I started running as a freshman, did that freshman year of track cross country. Then I moved states. I didn't do cross country and track for the rest of my senior year or my high school career, but I did a lot of lacrosse. After that, just kind of wanted to pick it up. Ran a half marathon my last year of high school because I thought it looked fun and cool, and then got kind of hooked. It was really hard, but the environment was really amazing. So since then, I've been running recreationally. I've done a couple marathons, two ultras at this point, mostly 50 and a 60K, so nothing beyond like the 38 miles that the 60K was. I do a lot of swimming too. I did some biking. I was on the triathlon team throughout grad school, but other than that, mostly not so much like a strictly marathon runner. I just kind of do whatever piques my interest at this time, and right now it's probably a little bit more trail and ultra at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What of the marathons and the ultras that you've done, what's been your favorite?
Do I have to pick between an ultra or a road?
You can do one of
Or a
each.
trail, one of each.
Yeah.
I did the LA Marathon in March, and I really, really had a good time. I genuinely enjoyed myself, which I think can be very rare for a road marathon, because you're just out there for a long time, and it's kind of sucks.
I'm going to interrupt really quickly because, shout out to this individual on social media. Did you see someone in the bear costume? Did you see Bear Sun out at the LA Marathon?
No.
Ugh. For those that don't know, there's this guy on social media. He posts on, I think, just about everything, and he runs in like a full-on bear suit, trains in the bear suit, runs marathons in the bear suit. I want to say he's broken 3:30 in the marathon while running in the bear suit.
My gosh.
Yeah.
No, the LA Marathon was fantastic. There were just so many people running, so many people cheering. Mile 18 was that famous turnaround where you could finish the marathon, still get a medal, but you don't necessarily finish because once you hit 18, you go out for another 4-ish miles and then you turn around to the finish line. So mile 18, it got so loud because there were so many people and it was so much fun. But that was a really, really great race. I had a really good time. And then I've done two ultras at this point. I did one in Colorado called the Never Summer 60K, and that was my home turf when I lived in Colorado, and it was an amazing time.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, we can always bring Lauren back for her own episode, especially if it's
Yeah.
requested by popular demand.
Oh,
Hmm.
So thanks for telling us about some of your recent adventures in your ultras and your marathons.
yeah, absolutely.
And let's
Yeah.
pivot to talk about you.
Okay.
So Jack has been setting the pace on the podcast for the first 4 episodes that have been awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but now it's time to hear about your story.
Mhm.
So our first question for you is, how did you get into running? Were you always like this? Were you born this way?
Yeah.
I joke they're mentally ill. I maybe shouldn't say that. We're gonna cut that. We're gonna cut that. Anyway, were you born this way?
Okay.
Or how did you come into running?
Yeah. So I think my first experience with running was in 3rd grade. My school put on like a fundraising 5K as part of like this fall festival, and my dad was going to run it. So my dad was training, and I was in 3rd grade, and I would see my dad going out for a run. And I'm like, okay, well, like I'll try that. I'll go with you. And so I did that a couple times with him. I just did the mile fun run that year, but then I enjoyed it. We would always do like the mile run in PE, for the like presidential fitness thing, and I always enjoyed that. But then in 6th grade, I was able to join the cross country team, which was a pretty cool experience for me because that first year I was pretty much the only one. There was another kid, but he quit. He made it about a month and a half. He was pretty fast. I don't know how much he enjoyed it. And then, so I got to be like the only 6th grader hanging out with a bunch of high school kids, which was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed that. And so started cross country in middle school, ran all the way through middle school and high school. And then when I went off to college, I joined the club team at the University of Virginia, where we would compete against other Division One club teams and Division Three varsity teams. So it was kind of a mix of other club runners and then also people that were, college athletes. And on the whole, we were pretty competitive with the Division Three schools. To kind of give you an idea of, a lot of the guests have been from that team, and just how good those guests were. Um, and then, in the middle of that, turn to coaching. I think secretly, or maybe not secretly, I enjoy coaching other runners more than I necessarily enjoy the running myself. Um, it's really fun to get to celebrate and enjoy and experience their success, and so that's what I'm doing now.
I was gonna ask you how you guys fared as a club team, a good club team, again, competing against those Division 3 schools.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with the bold claim of there was one year that we were the Mid-Atlantic regional champions,
Uh-huh.
except that has the caveat of the race officials messed up the course. And so the results got all kinds of wonky, and I really don't know how they actually determined the results, but somehow we left that day with a first place trophy. Um, we were pretty good. We would usually place in the top 3 in the Mid-Atlantic region, which is one of the better regions. And then we were always, you know, pretty solid at the national meet. The national meet was a little hard because depending on where it was, a lot of schools just wouldn't go. But to kind of put some stats to it, we had Logan on last week who ran under 15:30. We had a whole host of guys at different points that were running under 15:30. And then, we shouted out one of our friends, Zach, who has made the Olympic trials twice now in the marathon. He broke 25 in the 8K, so under 5 minute pace for 5 miles. And, a whole slew of guys under 26 for the 8K. And so lots of really good talent, lots of fast 800 runners. We had a couple 154 and 153 guys, which is pretty fast. And then we had a lot of pretty quick 1500 runners as well. And so, yeah, lots of great guys, lots of fast guys, but also just a lot of people out there to enjoy the sport of running, which that's almost better. That's almost the best part of the sport is just enjoying it.
It's more important, honestly.
Yeah.
So, did you try not to run in college? Did you not want to run in college, or did you just want to end up at UVA no matter what?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a mixed bag. I had a kind of a not so great high school career of running in terms of I ran really fast as a 7th grader, and the coaches were super excited. Everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, like he's going to be the next guy for us." Like we're thinking, by his junior year, we're gonna have him running in the 15s.
That sounds like a lot of pressure.
I don't think it was that much pressure. I was really excited about it, but, for a combination of factors, one, I didn't really know what it meant to get there, or what it was gonna take. I kept getting hurt. Um, and, I like to say this a lot. There's a difference between wanting something and wishing for something. And definitely at that point, I was wishing for it.
Mm.
You know, I I would tell people that I wanted it, but I wasn't going in and putting in the work that, would lead to that improvement. And so between not putting in the work that, I should have been putting in, to injuries, to I found out later that I had kind of a genetic condition with blood flow issues in my legs that has since been fixed. Didn't have the best high school career. I went 4 years without PRing in the 5K,
Uh,
which was really hard. I considered quitting. Um, Thankfully, my coach before my senior year,
Yeah.
he came and talked to me and said, "Look, just have fun this year. Like, I know you were thinking about quitting. Let's not worry about the times. Let's not worry about the place or anything. Like, just enjoy the sport." And so, very appreciative that he said that. Had a pretty good senior year. I would have had the opportunity to walk on at one of the schools that I got into, but it was $60,000 a year. So UVA was going to be mostly paid for. So I went to UVA and I found the club team, and I'm very happy that that was the path that I found.
yeah.
Tell us a little more about having a pretty serious, like, condition that affected your running that took you out for a while and, like, how you made your way back to where you are now.
Yeah. So I I had this condition where my arteries would go through the muscles and the muscles would swell and pinch off the arteries. And so my legs would get very painful and then they'd go numb after about 8 minutes or so, 7 to 8 minutes of running. And this would occasionally present itself when I was in high school, but not that much. It came on really strong in college when I started running more. And part of it was hillier in college. And so the area that was affected had a lot more strain on it from the hills. And so it was kind of making it even worse than it naturally was.
This is, like, in your calves?
Yeah, in the calves. So the lower leg, right behind the knee. So if you ever see me running and there's giant scars behind my knees, that's what that's from. One of the really hard parts at that time was, you know, I was hurt. I couldn't run. They were at first telling me I wasn't going to be able to run anymore, but my entire college life had been built around this group of people that was running, and I at the time was actually coaching them. So, my responsibility was to be there to put together training plans to help them get faster. And so I was at practice every day, not able to run myself, watching other people run,
On
and
crutches.
on crutches for some of it. Yeah. Uh, and so that was tough, but I was really able to find a lot of appreciation for training other athletes and helping other people get faster when I wasn't able to do that myself at the time.
Absolutely. I think what you said earlier about how your dad did the mile with you in 3rd grade too was so
Yeah.
important because one of the reasons I joined the cross country team my freshman year of high school was because I knew my parents had run previously.
Yeah.
Not at that time, but 10 years prior, 5 years prior, whatever it may be. And I said, "Oh, my parents did that. That might be interesting. Why
Yeah.
not? Let's try it." And I mean, here we are now, and it made such a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. It's so easy to invite someone into the sport.
Yeah.
And, just because you invite them into the sport, you don't have to stay with them the whole time in the sport.
Yeah.
You don't have to always run with them. They don't always have to run with you. They can meet other people. Like, your journey once you start doesn't have to be the same. But it's such a simple sport to start. Like, you just have to decide to do it one day. You don't have to go buy a bunch of, fancy gear. You just need a solid pair of shoes, some shorts, a shirt you don't mind getting a little salt stained if you sweat a lot. And just enjoy it, but it's definitely better with people
Yeah.
as well.
So when did your running journey turn from, like, the casual runner into, like, understanding the science behind it and the biomechanics
Mm.
and all the training?
Yeah. So I would say my first exposure to kind of the higher level of training would have been in high school. We actually, myself and some of my friends, we went to one of the Nike running camps, which was a phenomenal experience. I loved it. We did it at UNC Asheville, which still holds kind of a special place in my heart. Those were like two of the best weeks of summer that I ever had at any point in high school. Absolutely loved the experience. And for any high school runners listening, if this is something that you're serious about, go to a run camp. Not only will you make friends, you'll meet other people, you'll learn a lot, and it'll kind of open your eyes to just what it takes if you really want to pursue this at a high level. And hopefully you're fortunate that you have, a good program at your high school, but it's also really helpful to see what other programs are doing. A lot of times these camps will bring in college coaches, and so you can see what college programs are doing, all the other elements that need to go into your training other than just running. Um, and so that first happened there. And then definitely when I got to college and working with our club team, I'm seeing more people train because our high school team was really small. Now all of a sudden I'm on a team that some days of practice there's like 100 people there. And so get to see a lot of people, live with those people, see what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and really learn from a lot of knowledgeable and experienced people.
Besides talking to people, I'm sure there are like resources and like
Hmm.
books you've read,
Yeah.
things to rely on
Yeah.
that you've learned. Sorry, I'm
Yeah. The book.
oh,
Yeah. I mean, I shouted it out on last week's episode, but I would say if you're looking for how to get into run training, I would say this is the best source. Um, he,
Daniel's running
Daniel's running
formula.
formula. Yeah,
Okay.
he lays things out very well. It is easy to read. There are templates for training plans. It's simple. He's not asking you to buy anything. He's not trying to sell you anything. It's just good, honest, solid, consistent work. And that's really what it takes.
I did not even realize this book was sitting there when I asked you
Yeah.
that question. So you were so prepared for any question that we could possibly throw at you.
Hmm.
Jack, I never heard of that book before I listened to the last episode, and
Yeah.
it's already in my phone to buy.
Yeah. It's a great buy. Some of the older editions you can get used fairly cheap.
Sure.
He does a good job of making the science conversational. But also someone like you is also very into the science with what you do. Like he will mention it and then also kind of present where you can go find more of the science if that's what you're interested in.
Sure.
So he does a great job of reaching all levels.
So before we transition into how you
Hmm.
started this podcast
Yeah.
and the purpose of this podcast, tell us like where you're currently at in your running journey and
Yeah.
like what you've been doing since permanently moving to Arizona and kind of establishing roots here.
Yeah. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. So I really, even when I got to university at first before I had surgery on my legs, I struggled. I wasn't running very well and it was hard to run. And then my 4th year after I had surgery on my legs, I had a huge bounce back where I was able to actually, start doing more of the work. I wasn't like fighting my body. And so, at that point was running more than I'd ever run. I ran a bunch of PRs that year in cross country. I was actually really excited for what that spring was going to look like, but then we hit COVID, unfortunately, and so I wasn't able to race track that spring. From there, it was kind of up and down with my running. I had another year in Charlottesville, Virginia, at the University of Virginia when I was getting my master's degree, where I was coaching, but it was weird. It was COVID. It was kind of hit or miss and how much I could run, how much I couldn't run. And then I actually moved to Washington, lived in Washington for 4 years, where, I was coaching at, a couple different levels, but, it was hard to really focus on my own running.
Mm.
And then in the like fall of 2023 into winter and spring of 2024, we had a couple really talented athletes that needed some extra training help. And so, that was what I was going to be able to provide. We had a really good coaching staff already in place. And so, my role was I was like an extra training partner. And, I have told these two girls that I'm talking about in particular, how much I appreciate like what they did for my running journey. But I really don't think they understand like just how much the two of them helped me get back into my own running.
These
Um,
are two of the students you
Two of the
coached?
students that I coached, yeah, who are now both running in college, going to be very successful, very talented athletes in college. And honestly, like, to make sure that I could keep up with them, I had to get back in shape. I had to, you know, get myself back out to the track. I had to get myself back to doing the long miles, doing the workouts, training consistently. And so, like, I really can't say how much I owe those 2 in particular for my running journey, and it really kickstarted after we moved to Arizona. I'm running more than ever now. I'm running on average 50 to 60 miles a week since we moved here, looking to build to about 70 here in the next couple months, getting ready for a race next February for sure, and then maybe a half marathon in there, depending.
Which race are you talking about doing?
So I want to run the Mesa 10K again. I had a really great time and a lot of success there this past year, and so I want to give that course another good run. And then there's a half marathon in December that I think we might train for. I think it's the Phoenix half marathon, and so I've run a couple, but like not really raced one yet. So
Yeah.
Getting into what you did in Washington reminded me we should go backwards a little bit again and have you talk about your coaching
mm,
experience and your coaching journey, because that's probably the biggest component of like what has you doing this podcast.
yeah. So, okay, coaching started, I guess, first coaching experience would have been my junior year of high school cross country. Our old coach had been deployed, and so he wasn't available to coach in the fall. So then they didn't have a coach. And so for a couple of weeks, the athletic director came to me. And she was like, I need you to be in charge of practice while we find you a coach. And I was like, okay, I can do that.
Did she know you like coaching? How'd she choose you?
She chose me because at that point it would have been going into my 6th year on the team,
Hmm.
and I was kind of the oldest person coming back. And other than the kid that got hit by a car because he was wearing headphones, he was okay. But other than that, it went pretty well. And so
Jack! I feel
it
like that needs to be edited out.
it wasn't my fault. No, we're gonna keep that because I think it's great. Not that he got hit,
Is he
but
okay?
he is okay.
Okay.
Yes, he was okay.
Oh
Day
my
of, he was
gosh.
fine. He was okay, but it was like, okay, this is why we don't run with headphones if we're not paying attention. But just kind of like a funny story about that. Anyways, we so did that for a little bit, and then when I got to college, my second year there, I ran for the position of what we called workout coordinator, which was essentially the coaching role for our club team. And very thankful that in the election process, a couple individuals really spoke out in favor of the ideas that I was putting forward. So, very thankful for that. Very glad that they trusted me with that opportunity and were patient with me when I was first starting that, because I know I was doing things a little bit differently than what the last couple people had done. But the guys were really patient. They listened. I want to say just about everybody PR'd. If you are one of my old teammates that did not PR with me as the coach, let me know. All right. Put it in the comments, call me out, hold me accountable. But I am pretty confident that just about everybody PR'd when I was coaching. And I did that for 2 years and then took a year off from that. And then I coached when I was doing my student teaching. And then I did 4 years of coaching in Washington at middle school, high school, and some club track. And then now I'm an assistant coach in at a high school here in Arizona. But kind of the whole time behind that is I really want to build a program of like a cross country program that is consistent, that can continually compete at a high level. And you know this podcast is kind of an opportunity to share some of those like core beliefs and systems that I think could take any school program and bring them to that level, because it's not easy, but it's really simple. It just takes time and work and consistency.
What's your favorite level to coach?
That's a really interesting question. You know, there's probably the high school level right now would be my favorite level to coach, just because I think there's so much that you can show them, and it can give them such an impact on other things that they have besides running. It can give them such an impact in how they approach their relationships with other friends, with, their teachers, their mentors, their family. And, when the high school kids buy into the ideas and, really sink their teeth into it, the results surprise everybody. And, getting to watch the reaction that they have to that when they experience the success is rewarding, doesn't do it justice. It's something else to see. And so that's been one of the most enjoyable parts of coaching so far.
You've coached me too.
Yes.
I guess I'm an N of one in terms of like your adult coaching. And like that's been amazing. I was not a runner, like could barely even jog for 20 minutes and then also ran the Mesa 10K last February
Mhm.
and ran way faster than I thought was possible.
Blew it
Yep.
out of the water, might I
Yeah,
add, thanks to Jack's fantastic coaching
seriously.
and Anila's hard work.
Yes. It was mostly Anila's hard work. If I'm being honest, she ran even faster than I thought she was going to. I
That's
I
true.
remember, I was looking down at my watch to see where we were on the timer, and then all of a sudden someone runs up to me, and I look up and it's Anila, and I'm like, "What the heck? How did you get here?" So she crushed it. She did a great job, almost entirely on the back of her hard work.
Mhm.
So,
Hey, episode 1, consistency.
yeah,
And I was consistent
yep,
for a long time.
yeah.
So it worked.
No,
It's
Paid
you
off.
true.
did
W
awesome.
Yeah.
We saw the Strava activities, it's true.
It's on Strava. It's real.
Yep. But Lauren had asked about 10K and half marathon PRs. So I ran 36:30 in the 10K. The goal next February is to run about 35:30. Um, Taking a more focused training cycle. Most of my training, honestly, since college has been just making sure that I'm in shape and versatile enough to help the high school kids that I coach, so
Mhm.
that, any given workout, any given distance, any given rep, I can hop in and help them. And so hoping to really focus on my own training and get ready for that. I'd like to drop another minute at least on my 10K this year. And then half marathon PR, I ran 1:35 one time, just with a friend in the state park, not at a race, just out running.
The half marathon idea is really more driven by me because I had so much fun with the 10K that said, well, now we should do a half. Clearly, that is the next step.
This'll be your first official race half.
Yeah, I mean, I ran one when we were in Washington, but
I
for
forgot
like
that.
the 6 months before that, I had only been running maybe 4 times a week, and the
Mhm.
most I had run at any point during the 6 months before was about 6 miles, and so I was not at all prepared for that.
He ran it on a whim, and wasn't it like a
Yeah.
muddy trail half?
No, it was on a road.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was alright. I learned my lesson that if I'm gonna do something like that, I need to put in the work.
Shout
Sure.
out to our friend Jamie who
Yeah,
dragged him into that one and
correct.
said, "Hey, you wanna run a half with me?" on a whim,
Yeah,
and he did.
yep,
Well,
Yeah.
props.
yeah, so
Should we get into the Vertical Stride podcast?
let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
So, Jack, at the very beginning of the podcast, you
yeah,
said, listen to this podcast. Let me know if you have any additional questions for me,
mhm,
any feedback. My main feedback was just, why did you make the podcast? So, what are you
yeah,
hoping to do with the podcast? What is the
mhm.
podcast for? Who is it for? Who are you trying to reach? So, we're hoping you can answer some of these questions today.
First things first, a lot of the podcast is for my own enjoyment. And so getting to share my ideas, get to talk about the sport that I love with people that I love is has been really enjoyable, and it's been a good outlet for me in my running journey and how I feel about running and what I want to accomplish in running. And so I will say that selfishly, a decent amount of it is about me. It's a passion project. It's something that I really enjoy, and it's been a wonderful way to spend my time so far. In terms of what I want it to accomplish, that could be anything. So far, listeners have mostly been people that know me, whether it was old college teammates, adult friends that I run with when I'm in town with them. You know, they enjoy it, they like it. And so, even if it's just that, I will enjoy that because I'll get to keep doing the part of it that is fun for me, which is just talking about the ideas and sharing my thoughts and, my opinions about running with people. If it turns into something more, like some of the better short form segments have been targeted towards, messages towards the high school athlete, kind of helping high school runners navigate all the distractions that have entered the running community, then that would be wonderful too. I think there's so much going on in the running community that a, a voice that kind of cuts through and simplifies things is really necessary for especially the high school athletes. And I'm not saying that I am that, but they all need it because there's so much to pull them off the path of focus and consistency that a clear message, a clear path forward is what they need. And so if it turns into something like that, that would be amazing too.
So you're the guy that you trust to keep it real, keep it simple, remind them what running is about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame the high school student because it's the environment that they're in. The environment that they're in is they love this sport, which is amazing. And like that is the first thing that it's going to take to get really good is you need to love the sport. I tell our athletes all the time, running is not a fun enough sport to not enjoy it. Like if you're not enjoying it, then it's a really difficult sport. And so these high school kids, they love the sport. And so they spend their time consuming everything that they can about the sport. It's tough because the things that are available for them to consume is the content from the professional athlete. It's the content from the high level collegiate runner. It's the content from the adult runner. And so it's not really targeted towards them specifically. And then unfortunately, a lot of times, like someone is being endorsed by a product. And so that product is getting promoted, or, you know, shoes that I'm not going to say that they don't work because the science shows that they work, but putting the focus on the shoes rather than the training doesn't give you the results that you're going to want. And so, you know, just like cutting out the distractions and emphasizing that your own hard work will bring you there. And I really think that if someone enters their freshman year of high school and they are set on I want to be a collegiate runner, I don't care where that athlete starts. If that's what they really want and they're willing to do it, any high school cross country runner right now can end up running in college. And I firmly believe that if they are willing to do what it takes.
Are you saying just through consistency, dedication, no matter where they come from, no matter if they've done
Mhm.
sports before?
Yeah. And like that journey will be different. That level of collegiate running will be different. I'm not gonna say that natural talent doesn't play a role in running because it definitely does. Like we've all seen someone run that it just looks different when that person runs compared to most people running.
Mhm.
But, you know, 4 years, 3.5 to 4 years of true consistency and dedication to this sport, it would be unrecognizable to the person that started the journey.
Pretty cool.
Mhm.
Bold statement.
Yeah. I really believe it. I think it's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is missing from, like, the running media space that you wanna fix?
You know, I think there's a lot of positivity in the running community social media space. There's a lot of messages of support and encouragement and, emphasizing that everyone is on their own journey. And I think that's wonderful. I think a lot of it is, the titles that are trying to get you to just engage with the content. So, a lot of these posts of run this magic workout or I ran this workout to get this time or this result. And no doubt that that workout helps, but one workout alone isn't going to do it. There's not just a, hey, do this and turn around in a week and be that much better. Other than when you're first starting and you like can't run at all, and then you run for a week, and then maybe 2 weeks later you can run for 20 minutes without stopping. Like that kind of a jump, yes. But if you're already in your running journey, there's nothing that's gonna show up where you do it once or twice and then all of a sudden you've accomplished your goals. Um and I think just that message of take your time, enjoy the journey. And, one of our earlier guests, Ryan, said it really well. Just being available and consistent for a long time. I'll use the high school cross country season as an example. The best and fastest cross country runners, they start their training 2 weeks after track season ends. So they finish track season, whether their track season finishes in May or June. They take 2 weeks off, and then it starts right away. There's a saying that, cross country is the summer sport that competes in the fall, in that if you want to be competitive, if you want to have success, you have to do your summer work. You have to run in the summer, and it takes at least a month, if not more, to set the table for the work that you're gonna do in the season. And so, you know, you can't do it for a month, not see the results, and get discouraged. You kind of have to trust in the consistency, know that any benefit I'm going to get from a workout is going to take about 10 days to 2 weeks for me to actually see any physical, tangible benefit from it. Um, and so, like, if you think about it, after a month, you haven't actually gained all that much because you got to wait 2 weeks for those benefits to come back in.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
So you've touched on this a little bit with Ryan in a
Hmm.
prior episode where he suggested the name, I believe, the consistent
Yeah.
stride. And
Yeah.
you got to talk a little bit about how you came up with the name the vertical stride. But
Yeah.
we'd love to hear more. What does that mean to you?
I really think that running is like a spectrum or steps on a ladder. And I like steps on a ladder a little bit more than I like a spectrum, because if you are consistent and if you with integrity imply good quality training principles of doing things at the right effort, knowing the intention and the focus behind your workouts, running at the correct intensity so that you're getting the adaptations that you want, then over time you will take those steps. And what can be really challenging and really difficult mentally is you can do that for a long time and not see the results in a race. And then all of a sudden, it happens all at once. It is not uncommon to see, for example, a high school athlete that runs the same time for a month and a half, and they're running amazing workouts. Everything that you're seeing them do tells you they are ready to run faster. And then all of a sudden, on some random Thursday or Saturday at who knows where cross country meet, they run a minute faster than they've ever run before. And it happens all at once. And, I think the most powerful story that I have with this is, one of those two girls that I was talking about before. She put in a good 9 months of consistency and training and hard work and was listening to everything that myself and the other coaches were saying. She was running all the workouts the right way, and she wasn't running faster times. And then all of a sudden, she just woke up on the right day in the right environment and ran a massive PR, did something that I don't even think we knew she could do yet. She definitely didn't know that she could do it. And then just like seeing the relief and the joy that came with that was a cool moment. Yeah.
um it's something interesting that's happened for me that hasn't happened necessarily in a race or not nearly as uh important of circumstances is just me putting in like months and months of Z2 trying to just get my heart rate down at a slow pace. And
Hmm.
I was running slow, like 10:30 pace for months. And then all of a sudden it felt like, oh, wait, okay, now my heart rate's pretty low and I'm running like 10-minute miles. Okay. My heart rate's still the same and I'm going 9:30s. Okay, now I'm going 9-minute miles. And I saw that improvement pretty dang quickly just with a lot
Yeah.
of consistency and a lot of Z2 and easy miles and maybe a little bit of workouts, but it was a lot of base. And
Yeah.
sometimes it really does feel that all of a sudden you see improvement, and that's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, and that's why I like the idea of, steps on a ladder is you take those
Hmm.
jumps. And then, the other part of it is, that word in our training is consistency, but the things that are going to make anyone anywhere on the ladder better are the same. And obviously I'm going to have to apply those principles differently. Um, for example, the world record in the mile was broken this weekend. Josh Kerr ran a 3:42. Unbelievable. First time that someone broke the mile world record in 27 years. It's been since 1999. And, obviously, like I'm not even going to touch or think about doing the workouts that he's doing. But he is targeting the same adaptations in his body to make himself better that we should be targeting as well. One of the things is for him, he has a lot of resources to pursue those adaptations. One of the really interesting things that I saw was that the setup in his home, he has the ability to simulate three different altitudes of training. Like, so he has the ability to simulate like sea level oxygen levels. I think the other was like 5,000 feet and then 8 to 10,000 feet. And I believe that, he sleeps in, an environment that simulates the 8 to 10,000 foot elevation range, which is, that's really where a lot of those elevation training benefits come from is it's really actually just like kind of existing at elevation in addition to doing your exercise and your workouts at that elevation. Um, he's really big on making sure that he gets proper recovery. They monitor his sleep. They will adjust the oxygen levels depending on the data that they're seeing from his sleep. And so the simple part of just recovery. He's got to get enough sleep so that his body can do that. That's going to be the same thing for me. Like if I want to go out and perform at the best level that I've ever performed after doing all these workouts, I have to recover. Um, and
Or
so,
go live in Flagstaff,
yeah,
where you
or
can be at elevation here in Arizona.
yeah, or go live at elevation. But, so the same things that, we could implement in our own life to a lesser degree are the same things that these professional athletes are implementing as well. And, you look at a professional athlete that is running, 120 to 140 miles a week. Like they are doing that because they are seeking the adaptations that come with running those miles, running that consistency. A lot of it, they're going to be monitoring their heart rate. They have a lot better resources for training with that scientific lens. And that's the same as when we have a high school kid who comes in and is a freshman, and we work them up to maybe 35 miles a week during the first season. In the winter, we're going to try and increase their mileage, right? And we're not going to increase it to something like that, but it's, hey, maybe let's get really comfortable running 40 miles a week. And the benefits that they're going to get from that are the same benefits that those athletes are pursuing by running that much. And so the ideas and the principles are the same for everyone. It's not like you get to a different level and the game is different or the way to get better is different. It's the same.
Shall we ask you some like rapid fire, don't think, just answer
Okay.
questions just for
Yeah,
funsies?
let's do it.
Well, Jack, I've got some written down for you.
Oh boy. Bring
Anila,
them
do you want
on.
to take it away? You want me to start?
No, go ahead.
If you had to die on a hill for one brand of shoes, what brand would you choose?
Uh, that is such a hard question. Okay,
Shoe. He
so
has like 4 different versions, not even versions, colors of the same shoe.
What is
okay,
it?
right now I am doing all of my running in the Hoka Mach 7.
Uh,
Hoka, if you hear this, I am willing to wear the shoes all the time on the podcast if that's what it takes. However, I don't think that that's going to happen. Here's the thing about running shoes. I like to go into the store and try on shoes every single time that I need a new pair of shoes. Shoes are like the one essential piece of gear that you need, and you need them to be comfortable, you need them to be reliable, and you need to enjoy them. And so it so happens that, for the past probably 5 years, I have been running in one Hoka or another. But I do firmly believe that every single time you need running shoes, yes, have old reliable in your back pocket, but go try on other shoes. Your feet are constantly changing. Your feet continue to grow. They slowly flatten out over the course of our life, unfortunately. Your preferences change, especially if you have an injury or some sort of significant event. All of a sudden, that shoe that you love might not be the right shoe anymore. And so I will always tell people, like, go try on the shoes. There's a reason that the running store is there with all the options for you to try on.
His most memorable Hoka is always gonna be the cotton candy pink one with, like,
uh,
the confetti sprinkles
Yep.
through it that turned brown
Yeah.
after running through some mud and some rain.
Yeah, but they were limited edition on the color scheme, so that was pretty cool.
So cool. I
Yeah.
came from the Brooks Glycerin, and now I'm in the Saucony Speed Endorphin, and it was, like, kinda shocking to go from one to the other, and at first I got it wrong, and I ran for, like, a week, and I was like, "This is horrible." So I was glad I went back and tried again
Mhm.
till I found the one I found.
hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my shoe brand is Asics. I've been running in the
Okay.
GT 2000 since my freshman year of high school. And
Yeah.
Wow.
last year they changed the model a little bit to make it a lot more cushy,
That
which
actually that actually really surprises me that with your
Mhm.
gymnastics background that you're in a stability shoe.
um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the only thing I've ever run in. And the other times I've tried, maybe the two other times I've gotten injured. So I just keep the old faithful.
Oh
But
boy.
Jack, what's your single most controversial running take? What's the hot take?
I think I maybe shared already that I think anyone going that starts their freshman year of cross country, if
Mm,
they really want to, can be a collegiate runner. I think that might be my most controversial take. I think
yeah.
there is a stigma that most people apply to college athletes where you look at someone their freshman year and you kind of maybe know whether you're going to be a college athlete or not. I think part of that is people don't fully understand what the opportunities of running in college look like. You know, if it's the sport that you love, you'll find a place to do it. And, so
Very
part
fair.
of it is, are you going to go make the opportunity? But I also think a large part of it is you have no idea the improvement that you can accomplish over 3.5 years of training before you have to make that commitment to a school.
I think that's a really good hot take and a very interesting one and not one that I've heard before, but I like it.
Yeah.
I
What
like
what
it.
were you expecting me to come with?
I didn't have an expectation for your hot take.
Okay.
Although when you said that previously earlier, I did think that was a hot take, but I
Yeah.
like it. It's a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, well, for my hot take,
Yeah.
have you read the book Born to Run?
Yes.
So you know where I'm going with this.
Maybe.
I
I'm
I don't.
fearful.
I think anyone who reads that book, their views on shoes change almost
Mhm.
automatically just reading it. I am
Yeah.
not a big cushy shoe fan. I am not a fan of like Hoka's. So
Yeah.
basically, when my 8.6 got changed to cushy, I did have a lot of like hip pain that started.
Yeah.
And I've keeping keeping an old pair. I had to find like a 3-year-old pair on eBay just because I needed something before the LA Marathon. I didn't have enough time to really go out and find a new shoe brand.
Mhm.
So I found a sketchy pair off of eBay. They worked great. They were new. I got lucky. Um, but I now need to find another shoe that's not so thick and
Mhm.
cushy. And along those lines, I am not a fan of insoles either. I don't know. I think unless you have like an actual like orthopedic
Mhm.
disease or significant problem, when I started running, they automatically put me into insoles, and that's like a 13-year-old who's never run before. I mean, that is so aggressive. Um,
So many things to touch on there. There is going to be an episode later titled "Navigating the Running Store" with geared towards ideas just like that.
yeah,
And so I didn't mention it in my running journey earlier. My first job in high school was working at a running store.
I think you'd be
And
great at that. That sounds like a great job for you.
I loved it. It was awesome. And I'm really thankful to the owner of the store that they gave me an opportunity, let me work part-time during the school year, and then gave me as many hours as he could during the summer. And I learned a lot. I got to talk to a lot of people. I got to see what worked for people. And we had inserts available for purchase, but unlike a lot of running stores now, we did not default to trying to sell you an insole right away. And so the major brand that I would recommend for inserts would be Superfeet, and that's
Mhm.
what you're going to see at a lot of stores. And they're going to throw around a lot of science and carbon fiber and things like that, and support and cushion and natural and all those things. And the inserts are great. Don't get me wrong, but I think that for 95% of people, you can find the right fit with the shoe alone without the insert. Now, obviously, you have some sort of injury, you need the orthotic, or you're recovering from something like plantar fasciitis and you need the orthopedics, go get the orthopedics. Like, do what it takes to make your foot feel comfortable while running, because if you're not comfortable, you're not going to go do it. But, you know, I think a lot of the running stores have turned a little predatory in terms of they get these people that walk in. It's like, hey, here's this $150 shoe, and then here's this $50 insert. But then also,
Or
you,
more.
you need socks because the socks that you have are going to give you blisters. I run in Costco socks. I'm running 60 miles a week in Costco socks. I have no blisters. I've never had an issue with blisters.
He's never had an issue with blisters. That's another hot take.
That's I seriously, like, from running, I have never had an issue with blisters. I had issues with blisters from basketball, right? Side to side lateral sports, but never from running. And so if you're in the right shoe, the shoe will take care of you.
Dang, I gotta go get some Costco socks because they're doing a miracle for you.
Hey, they're
Yeah.
Puma Costco socks.
Yeah.
Nothing to it.
And you'll get a lot of them.
I
Very
am
true.
cool.
Yeah.
My next question for you is what is your pre-race go-to meal or snack?
Mhm.
And what is your post-race go-to meal or snack?
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the post race because it's the most fun and I know how much you hate it.
Great.
Chocolate milk.
Yes,
Done and done.
me
I don't need
too.
anything else. Just bring me the glass of chocolate milk, and while you're at it, leave the container there.
You are a child.
Okay?
Oh, well, then I am too, because that is the number one go-to. It's the
It
best. It's the
it
absolute
is,
best.
and as someone in STEM and in science, you should know about the recovery benefits of drinking the chocolate milk.
Mhm.
That was actually one of the top recommendations that they gave us at the running camp in
Wow.
high school, was how there's all these recovery drinks out there. One of the simpler and more effective ones was actually chocolate milk.
Therefore, it is legit. You heard it here. Chocolate milk, the best post-running fuel.
Mhm. Yeah.
Endorsed by both Jack and I.
Yes.
Years of experience.
Exactly.
And it tastes really
So,
good.
yeah. In terms of pre-run, that's a little trickier because it kinda depends on when I'm running during the day and then, like, what I'm running for.
You got a big race the next day, you're supposed to carb load, or so I'm told. I don't know if that's
Oh,
real.
okay. So this is another one of my
Oh,
things that I get up in arms about.
I started something.
The cross country teams doing the pasta dinner the night before the race. Okay? I'm gonna start with the pros. Pros, it is great for team building. You can strategize, it builds a great atmosphere. It brings that environment that makes people want to come back and makes people feel included and welcome in the sport, which I love that. If I could make one adjustment, is that I'm going to move it a day earlier. I'm going to move it to 2 nights before the meet because that is the meal that is actually going to be in your system. Those are the carbs that are actually going to be there on race day. Okay. And the other good thing about the team dinner is it kind of gets everyone on the same schedule. You get everyone out of there on time so that they can go to bed and get their sleep. The two nights before night of sleep is the most important night of sleep. You can have a bad night of sleep the night before, your body will figure it out with the adrenaline. But if 2 nights ago you slept poorly, you'll have figured it out with adrenaline the day before, and then your body's going to crash that second day. And so that preparation really, I mean, it's all the time, but that preparation, if you're really trying to focus on that one race, should be the 2 nights before. Get that good carb loading meal and make sure you get a good night's sleep. And that night usually doesn't have the stress associated with that sleep that the night before does.
Lauren, what is your pre-race meal or snack?
Pre-race, um, before the LA Marathon, I ate banana. I think 2 or 3 plain TJ's waffles, frozen waffles that I just put in the
Nice.
toaster. Probably like a plain bagel with nothing on it too. And that might have been all that I could get down. But I really try to eat a decent amount both in the morning of, because
Uh-huh.
I get hungry and I don't want to be hungry when I still have 2 more hours to run.
Yeah.
So just like plain carbs, bread, banana, that's usually pretty good for me.
Yeah. And I would say for a race, get up so you have plenty of time to eat a legitimate meal.
Yeah.
You know, don't necessarily treat it like your everyday run in the morning where you get up, you eat something quick and you're running 30 to 45 minutes later. You know, we had a pretty grossly early start time for our Mesa 10K.
Yeah.
I want to say I woke up at 3:15 to get a full breakfast in.
Hmm.
Because I knew that I would need it. And, don't just try and figure that out on race day. We have a race day episode coming. I have two wonderful guests lined up for that as well that have raced all over the world. And don't leave it to race day to figure out what you want to eat. Do some trial and error and figure out what works for you.
Absolutely.
What do you listen to while you run?
Depends on what I'm doing. So if I'm going out for an easy run, just on my own, and I want to keep the miles slow, I listen to either a podcast or an audiobook. I find it doesn't get me amped up unless it's even like if it's like the final culminating fight battle scene in the fantasy series. It's not going to speed up the easy run, and I don't want to speed up the easy run. If I'm doing a workout, I'll usually do music. So I did a tempo run this morning, and maybe this is my hot take, Lauren. When I'm doing a workout, I pick a song and I listen to it on loop
Interesting.
over and over and over again. So this morning it was a Michael Bublé morning. We needed a little extra, oomph and
You need some
jazz.
Buble in your life.
Yes. And so it was 26 minutes of the same Michael Bublé song over and over again,
What
right?
song?
Take You Away,
All right.
right? Very fun, very jazzy. It's about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, somewhere around there. Um And so if I'm doing a workout, I'll do that. And I actually kind of have a go-to song depending on what kind of workout and what pace I need to be running. And so my other shout out will be if I am doing mile pace work, I am listening to the Bluey theme tune extended 66 seconds on Spotify on loop.
And so what was your most played song of 2025?
Yeah, it was the Bluey theme
Excellent.
song. So thank you for pointing
Yep.
that out to everybody.
Probably not your average age that you represented there for
No,
most people
I
listening
think
to
the
that.
Spotify people that were monitoring Spotify Wrapped were a little concerned.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take too.
Yeah.
What kind of headphones do you wear though?
I have some Beats wireless headphones, which is purely by convenience.
Yep.
So gosh, maybe 4 years ago now, a student left a pair of Beats wireless headphones in my classroom.
For the whole year.
I put them on the front of my desk. I asked all my classes if the headphones belonged to anybody. Nobody claimed the headphones all year. So they sat there from like October to May and no one took them. And I'm like, you know what? These are mine now. Like they're here. No one wanted them. I'm going to use them. And they still work. They stay in, which actually is a tough thing for me. I sweat quite a bit. And so I had historically struggled with headphones, but these have done a great job. They've held up well. I never have issues with them falling out unless I like actually like physically knock them out.
Well, Jack, what's your favorite workout to do?
My favorite. Okay. Mm, that's such a hard question. There's so many. I think like my favorite type of workout is probably going to be tempo. I think
Mm.
if you only had to do one type of workout, I think tempo, because of both the mental and the physical benefits, I think will get you the furthest. Although, as I'm saying that, a fartlek might be better.
Mm.
I could go either way on that, but I enjoy the tempo more.
Sure.
Explain.
Yeah, so fartlek we talked about in our last episode, right? So the types of workout episodes where it's Swedish for speed play. If you want the full history, tune into amazing context and history from one Brian Newman, who had a wonderful repeat performance last week. But I think tempo is my favorite. I think the confidence that it gives me of having that sustained effort at faster paces is really helpful. I'm very much a confidence based runner. I kind of have to prove it to myself, which, I try and encourage my athletes not to be in that mind frame, in that mindset. But I find that really helpful for me. And so I really like the tempo run. But we have some fun, like, hybrid tempo and fartlek workouts that I like to do, which, it leads to a whole bunch of jokes because I call it the RTR workout, and it's just when I'm explaining it, I'm just saying RT, RT, RTR, and everyone's like, "What is happening?" But that might be my favorite workout, the RTR workout, which will get explained in a different episode.
I'm a mile repeats girl myself. Although, if I am doing marathon training, I do really like a long run that has like 3 miles warm up, maybe like
Mhm.
5 miles at marathon pace or a little bit faster. Really
Yeah.
breaks up the long run. I really like that one. And it's definitely confidence boosting because you can go a little bit faster than a marathon pace and say, okay, I ran 15 miles or whatever,
Yeah.
and that actually felt pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I need the boosted confidence too.
I think the confidence is so important in those
Absolutely.
workouts. Yeah, you mentioned in your episode of
Yeah.
putting the week together is the way that a workout can break up the run and just like make it seem to go by faster.
I
Mhm.
think I've enjoyed just about every workout you put me through except the mile repeats.
Yeah.
Don't ever make me do that again. It was not good.
Did you do them
But
on
it
a
was
track or road?
road.
Yeah, and it was really
It
hot
was really
outside.
hot.
Yeah,
It just yeah, it kicked my butt
but
and I
she
said
did amazing.
I'm sure.
and I said I will never do that again.
Yeah.
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 So,
Last but not least,
mhm.
what is your favorite thing about running?
Mm. I think my favorite thing about running is that sense of accomplishment. And for a long time, I lost perspective of that. And so what really helped me get that back was when I was recovering from my surgeries, I was working with this lady who was not a runner. And I was really struggling mentally with myself trying to get back into running. And so, I would run before work and I would be a little discouraged by the progress that I was making. And then she would ask me about it. And to someone that wasn't, a runner or had been in the running community the way that I had and with the focus that I had and kind of the goals that I was reaching for, she was like, "That is unbelievable. Like, do you not like think about how few people are going to go out and do that?" And one, it was a really positive message for me to hear. It really helped me kind of get through that and, have a breakout season later that fall. But, that sense of accomplishment, and so a lot of my running happens in the morning now. I enjoy the feeling of walking around all day, like, knowing that I got my work done. Like I did it already and I accomplished that. And, you know, I can really see the growth of myself, over the training period. And so I think I really enjoy that of, what I'm getting to message to myself.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting Lauren and I
Mhm.
take over for an episode and interview you for once
Yep.
instead of you interviewing us. But I will hand the microphone back and let you take it away.
I do really want to thank the two of you. I guess we should have double checked with Lauren if she had any more questions.
One more for you.
Let's do it.
What side of your wrist do you wear your watch face?
This is such a good question. Did you know this about me before you asked?
I saw it earlier.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
wear my watch on the inside of my wrist. And I do that for a couple reasons. One, I have no scientific evidence or research to back this up, but if your watch has heart rate monitor with using the green light sensor to do it, I just feel like it does a better job when it's on that side of my wrist. I feel like it's more accurate. Um, and then two, the first running watch or like true running watch that I had, I wore it on the other side and it would kind of just get knocked and rattled on things and it would scratch up the face. And so I just find that this protects the watch face a little bit better because if things are going to be like scratching and clanking against it, it's usually going to be the outside rather than inside. And so apparently this is also maybe a hot take because just about everybody that notices says something to me. And I've even had people that I haven't talked to in a while text me and they're like, "Can you explain the whole watch thing again?" Uh, so that's where I wear my watch.
Where do you
Okay.
wear your watch?
On the outside, like normal.
Wow.
Sorry,
And why do you
Jack.
do that?
It just,
Because that's where everyone wears it. That's where they're designed to be. I don't know. I never have had a problem with my Carmen's getting scratched on the surface. And I do a lot of a physical job.
yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
you find, though, it's easier to look at your watch this way instead of this way when you're doing your physical job?
No.
No.
I mean, I guess I've never worn it on the inside of my wrist, so I guess theoretically you could say I've never tried it.
About to change your life.
No, it's not.
I mean, let's just imagine for a second that you're standing, you're working on something that's maybe on like a table in front of you. Like, just imagine both hands are holding on to something and you just need to be able to glance and see it. But if it's on the outside, you got to turn. And then all of a sudden, who knows what happened when you turned your wrist? Like, a whole number of bad things could have happened.
True.
So,
True. I don't know. You're gonna have to work really, really, really hard to convince me on that one.
Try it for
So
a day. Try it for a day and
I
get
don't
back
know,
to us.
man. I'll get back to you if I ever decide to try it. I think it's a whole different type of person who wears it that way. But I'm glad it works for you, Jack. I really am.
hmm I can only imagine what she's trying to imply by saying it takes a whole different type of person to do that. But maybe we'll leave that for another time. I
A different episode.
yeah. I do want to thank the two of you.
Thanks so much for having me. It was super fun to
Yeah.
chat with you both.
Yeah, no, I really appreciated the two of you doing this. I think it was good that someone insisted that, I put some of this info out. By no means my entire running journey. A lot left to talk about. There was the whole swirly bet incident,
Oh,
which we can come back to another time. But thank you for both of you taking the time, asking the questions. I appreciate it. And hopefully you all enjoyed this. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight on where I'm coming from, what I want to do with both my running and what I want to try and accomplish with and on the podcast. As always, if you have questions, put them in the comments, right? I'm getting a lot of text message questions. I would love to see them in the comments. And until then, happy running.